Ever since the M1 Max dropped in 2021, Apple has had a lead that Windows laptops just haven't been able to close. The M1 Max put Apple in the lead, but the M5 Max just moved into a different weight class. We're no longer comparing laptops to laptops. We're comparing a portable machine to $10,000 studio workstations. So let's kick this off by talking about this design. And here's the thing. If you put a 2021 MacBook Pro right next to this M5 Max, your friends won't be able to see a single difference between them. You still get the same squared off edges and the same 4.7-pound chassis, along with the usual space black and silver color options. Apple hasn't touched the physical design since the M1 generation, but honestly, that's kind of the whole move because the design is just that good. The CNC machined aluminum has zero flex in the lid, and the keyboard deck goes completely solid under your hands, which is why it still sets the standard for build quality in this category. But here's where it actually matters for your workflow. The port selection is still the best you can find on any laptop on the market. You get 3 Thunderbolt 5 ports, MagSafe 3 for charging, HDMI 2.1, and an SD/XC card slot, so you can carry everything in one machine without ever needing a single dongle. The jump to Thunderbolt 5 that we saw in last year's M4 Max, which we continue here on the new model as well, was a big deal because you're now looking at up to 120 gigabits per second of transfer speed. That opens up faster external storage, higher resolution displays, and better dock setups. So while nothing changed on the outside, the power running through those ports is significantly faster. And then there is the display. The Liquid Retina XDR display on this machine is still the undisputed king of pro panels if you do any kind of color critical work. You're looking at 1600 nits of peak HDR brightness and 1000 nits of sustained full screen HDR, which combines with a ProMotion 120 Hz refresh rate and a P3 wide color gamut to cover pretty much every professional need for video or design. The contrast is honestly stunning because the blacks are so deep, yet it can also drop down to just 1 nit so you can comfortably work in a pitch black room without straining your eyes. Now, one common complaint is that Apple has been shipping this same display for several years now because there is still no OLED and that notch is still staring back at you, but this isn't actually true. Last year, Apple added a quantum dot film in its Liquid Retina XDR display. Now, what does that actually mean? Simply put, more vibrant and accurate colors. Quantum dots allow for a wider color gamut, meaning richer colors and better motion performance. If you're a creative pro, this is a big deal. The contrast between vibrant highlights and inky blacks makes everything from video editing to content consumption an absolute joy. Another noteworthy feature is the optional nano texture glass, which I've been testing here. This is the same technology Apple used in the Pro Display XDR and also on the iPad Pro, and it significantly reduces glare while maintaining picture quality. If you work in environments with bright or challenging lighting, like near large windows or in a studio, this option will make a real difference, reducing reflections and distractions while preserving the stunning visual experience. Now, I personally thought I wouldn't be a fan, but after I started using it on the M4 Max last year, I don't think I can go back. It's that good. Now, plenty of people are holding out for a total redesign with that tandem OLED panel that we see in the current iPad Pro, but that's going to be a separate product, which rumors say is coming later this year, and it doesn't change how good the screen is right now. When you are actually sitting down to color grade footage in DaVinci Resolve or tweak raw stills in Lightroom, the accuracy and brightness, consistency are the only things that really matter. And if you haven't used an Apple Silicon MacBook Pro yet, let me tell you, the display alone is almost worth the upgrade. Now, if you're dropping this much cash on a machine to do professional level work, you probably don't want to keep your projects on a pile of random thumb drives. You need a real system for your data, and that's where this video sponsor UGREEN comes in. If you're buying a MacBook Pro, you're probably about to create a lot of data, video projects, photo libraries, exports, backups, the whole thing. And the question becomes, where does all of it live? This is the UGREEN NAS DH4300 Plus. It's a 4-bay NAS, and it can scale up to 120 terabytes depending on the drives you use, and it supports a bunch of third-party drives, so you're not locked into just one ecosystem. A NAS is basically your own private cloud. You put the storage in your house on your own drives, and you access it from all your devices. So no juggling external drives, and you're not renting storage forever. And setup is very straightforward. The app walks you through it step by step. You can tap in with NFC, and then you can access your files from macOS, Windows, iOS, Android, basically whatever you're using. And for Mac users, the obvious win is Time Machine backups right to the NAS. And it can also auto backup your iPhone photos, which is one of those things you forget about until you really need it. It also supports 2.5 gig Ethernet, so moving big files over your local network is fast. And if you use Google Drive, it can sync with that too for migration and backup. My favorite feature is the AI Smart Album. It can organize photos by things like people and places, and the AI runs locally, so it's not shipping your library off to a server somewhere to be processed. So if you want a simple private storage setup for your Mac workflow, check the link in the description to grab 15% off. And once again, big thank you to UGREEN for sponsoring this video. Now, I mentioned AI running locally on the NAS, but if you want to see what local AI actually looks like at the highest level, you have to look at what Apple did with the silicon this year. You see, this is the part where the M5 Max turns into a completely different conversation because Apple finally brought their Fusion architecture to the MacBook Pro for the first time. This dual die SoC design used to be a desktop-only luxury reserved for the Ultra chips in the Mac Pro and Mac Studio, but now it's sitting right there in your lap. What this actually unlocks for your daily workflow is massive, and it starts with an 18-core CPU that splits tasks between 6 super cores and 12 performance cores. Apple claims these super cores are the fastest CPU cores found in any laptop in the world today, and the benchmark data actually backs this up. You're getting about 15% faster multi-core performance than the M4 Max, which translates to a real felt difference when you're waiting on Xcode compiles or heavy multi-track exports. And the AI story is where things get genuinely wild because Apple decided to cram a neural accelerator into every single one of the 40 GPU cores on this laptop. This is a total departure from how they handled AI acceleration in the M4, and the result is LLM prompt processing that runs up to 4 times faster than literally last year's model. So if you're one of the many developers running local AI language models through Ollama or LM Studio, this isn't a small spec bump, it's a total workflow transformation. And for those of you still rocking an M1 Max, the jump is even more insane because AI image generation is now up to 8 times faster than what you're used to, while still being 4 times faster than last year. The 40-core GPU delivers roughly 50% higher graphics performance compared to the M4 Max, which makes a huge impact on the tools that filmmakers and editors use every single day. Video effects rendering in DaVinci Resolve is up to 3 times faster, while enhancement tasks in Topaz Video AI run about 3.5 times faster than they did on the previous chip. And because you have 614 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth, you can run massive local AI models without hitting the performance wall that stops every other laptop dead in its tracks. And again, this is local, not connected to the internet. You can have Wi-Fi completely turned off and run all your AI. And for these local AI workloads specifically, the M5 Max isn't just the best laptop Apple has ever built. It's the best portable AI machine you can buy right now, period. Usually, when you hear supercomputer power, you expect supercomputer battery life, which means having to stay plugged into a wall. But the magic of Apple Silicon has always been the efficiency. Apple says you can get 24 hours of video streaming on the 16-inch M5 Max, and while that beats the M4 Max by about an hour, we all know real life works a bit differently. When you actually start working with a mess of browser tabs, jumping on video calls, and running creative apps, you can expect the battery to last around 14 hours, at least in my use case. And even with that drop, the machine still destroys almost every Windows laptop in its class, especially since those competitors usually lose half their power the second you unplug them from the wall. And you can top the battery off using MagSafe or any of the USB-C ports, and if you use the 140-watt adapter on the 16-inch model, you'll hit 50% charge in 30 minutes. Having that kind of speed is a lifesaver when you're bouncing between meetings or coffee shops and only have a few minutes to plug in before you head back out. But battery life is only half the portable story. To actually work on the go, you need enough space and speed to handle your projects without an external drive hanging off the side. Every M5 Max you buy now comes with at least 2 terabytes of storage, and honestly, having that as the new baseline is a massive win for anyone tired of paying for upgrades. Although you are paying for it up front because the base model has increased in price. The SSD speeds are hitting 14.5 gigabytes per second on reads, which is about twice as fast as the previous generation, and you really feel that jump when you're moving massive raw video files or booting up, again, local AI models. The 16-inch model starts at $38.99, and seeing that $400 price hike over the M4 Max definitely stings your wallet. It's a sign of the times with RAM and SSD prices ballooning across the industry. You have to decide if doubling the base storage and getting that brand new silicon architecture is worth the extra cash, but for people running heavy AI workloads, the option to spec this up to 128 gigabytes of unified memory makes it a beast that's hard to ignore. So the specs are there and the price is definitely there, unfortunately. But the question is, does any of this actually justify the hit to your bank account? If you are still rocking an M1 or M2 Max and you rely on AI workflows, the answer is a massive yes, because the jump in AI performance alone puts this machine in a completely different league. You're talking about image generation, again, that runs 8 times faster, and LLM processing that has quadrupled, which makes a huge difference for the kind of work that is actually taking over the industry right now. When you throw in those beefy CPU gains and the much faster SSD, you're looking at an upgrade that actually changes how you get through your day. Now, for the M3 and M4 Max owners, you should really only consider the jump if your current workflow is hitting a wall with local AI throughput or memory bandwidth bandwidth because the M5 Max is specifically designed to solve those exact bottlenecks. If you're sticking to standard creative projects and your current laptop doesn't feel slow yet, then definitely just hang tight, since we know a total redesign is likely around the corner. Oh, and if you're still on Intel, what are you even doing? When you step back and look at the whole package, the display, the efficiency, and that massive AI lead, the conclusion is pretty hard to ignore. So I'm calling it right now. The M5 Max MacBook Pro has officially claimed the title of the best portable AI workstation ever built, and honestly, nothing else on the market even comes close. Thanks for watching as always, guys. I appreciate your support. I'm Andrew Edwards. I will catch you in the next video.